The most lucrative companies in the world, billion-dollar corporations, they all have what? Sales teams, they have training, they have process that they go through that they teach every single one of their employees. Hey, when you get in front of a customer, behave like this, act like this, do this, say this. If they have to have a sales process that is tailor-made, don't you think you and your small business should have the same type of thing? Every single one of them sells a product. They are the production class. We normally are the consumption class. We buy the things that they make. So it makes sense that if you're going to be starting a business and you're going to be...
Marketing is such a big term, actually. The more I learned about it, the more I realized it was like endless, how much you could learn and niche down. How are you going about kind of chunking the information that you need to learn? I guess first identifying what you need to learn, or going about is it books or podcasts, or could you talk a little bit about how you're leveling up your marketing game?
Yeah, it's all of the above. Books, podcasts. I love audiobooks. That's what I usually lean towards. And having mentors, people who have done this stuff before, seeing what they have to offer, because there's always going to be a next level. So right now I have courses from some of the top coaches in the industry, million-dollar coaches, where they make their own programs to put out to try to help other people. So I do that. And then any type of creator that I see that has a book, I try to get that. And it's all about investing in yourself enough so you don't have to learn everything from scratch from the get-go. And it took me a while to kind of understand that, because I was living in a scarcity mindset and I didn't want to invest in myself. I didn't realize that I was holding myself back from the success that I wanted because I was just too afraid to take the risk it for the biscuit, step out of my comfort zone financially. And so once I started doing that and investing in courses and buying some people's books and other programs, then I started to see some results show up. And one of the really good courses that I had walked you through step by step where you need to go and start from A to Z all the way to how to build a coaching business. And yeah, the first step is, you have to understand your ideal client. You got to get out into the market. You got to do some research. And when I first started, I wanted to skip too many steps. I wanted to fast track. I wanted to kind of get to the results before the process, and not understanding that it's all about the journey and really enjoying yourself during that, and understanding that the challenges are just there to make you better. And if you had no challenges, you couldn't be a champion. And so just embracing that really has changed everything for me. So yeah, first step is understanding your ideal client. So it's like, okay, so where are they? Where are they hanging out? Let me go start having conversations with people, asking them what they're struggling with, what they'd like to achieve, and go from there. And as you continue doing that, you realize, okay, well, now that I've figured out some things that they're struggling with, let me create a solution for them. See if I can build an offer that is enticing for them. Okay, now that I've built an offer, how do I get it out to them? How do I get them to take action? How do I, be able to tap into what they really want subconsciously in order to get them to buy and really trust me and understand that the solution that I have actually is there to help them.
How are you going about gathering that data? Is it like one-on-one consultations or surveys or something like that?
So what I've been doing is one-on-one consultations. For a while, I worked for, I always tell every single newer entrepreneur, coach, consultant, go out and work for free at first. Do your time, get someone through your complete program to see what type of results that you can produce for them. Once you do that, you'll understand so much more than you did before. And so I always say, just work for free, do that market research, have one-on-one conversations with people where you're asking them bold questions and just asking them what they're struggling with. And after that, yeah, sometimes I send out a tweet just saying, hey, if you're struggling with this, I'm open to doing like a 30-minute call. I just want to understand your problems more. Let me help you with this. Here's the survey, fill this out, answer these questions to see where you're at. And yeah, every time someone hops on a call with me, I have a quick survey where they answer a bunch of questions, and then I keep track of those things and kind of try to figure out exactly what they're struggling with and what I can help with.
If you can just generalize, what are some problems that people are facing that you're seeing, like a common theme?
Yep. So there's three main issues or challenges that I see from a lot of newer creators, and then as we move forward, when they get more established, they have a different set of problems. So the newer creators, they're usually wasting time on the wrong things. That's a really big one. So instead of doing that market research and actually having one-on-one conversations with people, they would prefer to change up their bio, change their profile picture, work on an ebook. I mean, I made all of these mistakes going up, so I know them all intimately. So that's one of the things. It's like they don't focus on the needle moving tasks, aka when you're starting a business is about sales. And if you don't have sales, you don't have a business. So first step is, okay, so how do I get some sales? No high level client, like a high ticket client for a coaching program, would ever come outside of having a high level conversation with that person before they even sign up to your program. So getting out and having those conversations is key. And number two, they wait for business clarity. And so, it's all about, let me avoid what I have to do as well. And then I'm going to journal about it. I'm going to be thinking about these things, but you'll never get business clarity if you're just sitting around thinking about it. It's always going to be through the actions that you take to understand the market and continuously improve your process and understanding your offer and making it better and better and better. I always say creators were scientists. It's all about trial and error. So if you're avoiding the trial and you never reach the error, you're never going to learn how to adjust and make it better in the long term. And the third thing is a lot of people wait for sales to happen. Like I said before, business is about sales. And if you don't have sales, you don't have a business. And people don't feel comfortable with the sales process a lot of times. And that transitions into how do you help creators that have already passed the beginner stages. They also struggle with the sales process and delivering offers. A lot of people feel like they're going to be judged for offering to help someone for money. They're going to sound salesy. They're going to be a used car salesman. They're going to get on someone's nerves. These people are going to talk about them. And, all these thoughts throw through your head when I'm like, okay, so if you had the cure to cancer, would you hesitate to broadcast that to cancer patients? No, you'd be excited. You'd say, hey, I've got something to help you here. Here it is. So if you really have the solution to your ideal client's challenges, they deserve to hear. You're doing a disservice if you're holding that and not thinking that you have something, because if they would really benefit for what you have, then you should be out there shouting it from the rooftops. I can help you. I can help you here. This is it. This is my innovative solution. And a lot of people, they don't understand that. And so they resist making offers. They resist putting their prices up. They resist asking for money. And so they end up working for, low ticket, couple dollars here and there, and then they never make enough money to thrive and survive in their business.
And it could be a vicious cycle where when someone is paying less for something, they also oftentimes tend to value it less. So you're putting in more work for less kind of appreciation on the client side as well sometimes. So yeah, it's really tough to dial in that balance, that pricing strategy. And there's a discomfort. There's a lot of information in conflict or in discomfort, but it seems to be difficult to discern whether that is valid or not. So for example, if I tell you that, give me $100,000 and I'll build you a supercar, maybe I'm nervous because I've never done that before. And maybe you pick up on that nervousness and the sale doesn't go through. That's probably a good discomfort. Like that discomfort came from me not being able to do what I said I was going to do. So that's like fake it till you make it to the extreme, perhaps. But then there's other instances where you tend to undervalue your skills. And it takes a few times of people being like, this is amazing. Like you should, charge for this. And maybe they're your friends and maybe they always flatter you, or maybe they're someone else who never flatters, and it's an honest assessment. And so do you have any kind of strategies or guidelines or observations around how to kind of discern this is maybe worth looking at or this is worth discarding in terms of that discomfort around putting yourself out there and asking for a fee for your services?
So I usually say, if you're starting up a business, number one, you're right. You're always going to, most people undervalue themselves. Everybody is in a unique position that no one has ever gone through in the history of the world, in the universe, whatever. Like no one can tell your story exactly word for word in history. So you're sitting on a mountain of value where you've overcome things that people either are struggling with right now or they're going to be struggling with in the future. So you've come up with a unique solution already to a lot of the things. So now it's all about just uncovering those things and understanding the value that you can bring to the marketplace, because most people, they can't see that. And so I'm a big component or a supporter of getting a coach and helping somebody ask you the right questions so you can unlock the things that you cannot see within yourself, because we all have blind spots that we'll never see. So that's the first step. And then I tell them to, pick your price. Like, okay, so you can have $100,000 offer if you're solving a problem. Let's even say $1 million problem. So if you're just shooting for a 10x return on the investment that you make, if you focus on a big enough problem for someone who can afford that type of service, there's nothing stopping you from having that $100,000 offer. Yes, there may be some imposter syndrome if you've never accomplished something like that before, but sometimes the most innovative companies are solving new problems that maybe haven't even arrived yet. And then I also said, work for free first. If you find someone that has this big problem that's worth a lot of money, those chances are a lot of other entrepreneurs or creators are going to have that same problem. So find someone that you can help accomplish that first. Then you do have the proof. Then you can show that one testimonial to every single other person and then sell that $100,000 offer. So the amount of, there are some people who feel that $5,000, $10,000 is a lot of money. And I guarantee you there's a lot of people who feel that that's just a drop in the bucket. That's not a lot of money. So who are you talking to, number one? If you really, really want to create a $2,500 offer, $5,000 offer, $10,000 offer, the only limitation is within your mind. So I say, hey, pick a price that you would love to get to. Like how much do you want to make monthly? How much do you want to make yearly? How much do you want to make per client? There's no one telling, there's no one stopping you from doing that. So pick the price that makes you a little bit uncomfortable, that excites you a little bit. Stick there, start there. Design an offer for somebody that at that price where you can get them that 10 times results. And then you just got to learn how to, communicate that to them.
So let's talk a little about the sales process. You brought that up. What is the sales process? And every person's different, like you just said. How can there possibly be a process? So can we talk about what is this process? You're meeting a new prospect, or I'll leave it to you. How do you want to approach that?
Yeah. So first, it's like almost like an application process. So you're usually trying to, most people when they first meet someone, they're trying to qualify them to see if they're going to be a good fit for the program. I usually say that the first step is an appointment. So meet someone and then set an appointment to meet with them more closely and basically have a sales call. So first step usually happens if you're online, it's going to be text. It's going to be through the DMs. You're going to meet people, you're going to talk a bunch, and then you decide if that person is a good candidate to just hop on a call with you. So just set an appointment. The whole point of that first step is to set an appointment. So once you do that, then you go into a needs analysis basis where you just go through what they're struggling with. Does that fit in with the offer you have? You come into the reason why there's a sales process is because, the most lucrative companies in the world, billion-dollar corporations, they all have what? Sales teams, they have training, they have a process that they go through that they teach every single one of their employees. Hey, when you get in front of a customer, behave like this, act like this, do this, say this. If they have to have a sales process that is tailor-made, don't you think you and your small business should have the same type of thing? Like you're not immune to the struggles that they go through. Step number 2 of the sales process would be, to identify the person's concerns and everything that they're challenged with and what they want to accomplish. And usually you're going to find that if you're talking to the same type of ideal clients, they're all going to struggle with roughly the same thing. And during this process, you're going to provide the context and they're going to provide the content. Okay. So having a process where you know what to say when someone says this, you know the right questions to ask them to help bring up the emotions within the buying process, and then knowing how to handle the objections that they have and being able to close that. And so, it's a mainly a three-step process where you're bringing someone into the sales call, You're having the sales call and then you're closing the sales call.
And I would also observe, I have observed that you listen a lot more than you speak. And I've had the privilege of seeing you work. And for people listening right now, you were listening much more because it was more about gathering the data, providing the context, like you say. So was that something else that you'd recommend people do, like as far as like speaking versus listening ratio?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. If you're speaking most as the salesperson, if you're speaking mostly during the sales call, you're doing something wrong. The person is basically supposed to give you your own sales presentation, because you're just asked there to ask questions and help them open up and understand that their own problems. If you tell them exactly what their problems are, they can't really connect to them emotionally. But if you ask them deep questions where they have to reflect and answer those questions and understand their own pain and live in it a little bit, where they're starting to feel it again, then you're getting to tap into someone else's emotions. People only buy when they feel like it. That's it. That's the only reason people buy, when they feel like it. Okay. So you need to stop talking about the process, like what they have to go through in order to get the result that you're promising them. You need to stop talking about the person, aka you, how much time they're going to get from you, how long this is going to take. Stop talking about that. You need to stop talking about the pieces. Don't tell me how many modules are in it, how many ebooks I'm going to get, how many scripts I'm going to get. Don't say any of that. All you're talking about during a sales call is the payoff that you're going to help them get. That's all they care about. That's all they want to hear about. And if you say anything else, you're only telling their subconscious that it's going to be hard. This is going to be a lot of work, and they don't know if they're going to be able to do that.
Things get very real when money gets involved. And I think there's a like a primitive kind of like a primal, like quick thinking that happens in like the subconscious or something. You can tell through like micro expressions, voice like inflection, or just like tiny little things. You can tell when someone is uncomfortable around saying that number. It's like the opposite of the discount phenomenon, where like in clothing and perhaps all over, they discount. So it's like for the price that they actually want to sell it for. So let's say I want to sell you a $5,000 offer. I say it's a $8,000 offer for a limited time. It's at this discount. You can get it for $5,000. $5,000 is what I wanted, but you don't know that because for you, it's like a discount. But like when someone feels uncomfortable about saying the price, it's almost like the inverse of that. It's like, well, wait a minute, you're really a $5,000 offer trying to sell me an $8,000. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Feels like within our society that most people, like, money is a topic that is kind of like taboo. You don't really talk about how much they're making, and then how much you want in your life. You almost feel guilty for doing that, So it's almost like we were programmed somehow subconsciously to avoid that conversation and not really. Like Myron said, it's the cultural hypnotic mechanism, which is the school system. They train us to be certain ways. It was made in the Industrial Revolution, where we all sit in lines and we all listen to authority and we're all being quiet. It's like, don't be creative, don't stand out because that person gets picked on. It's like, I really believe, that money, which runs the world, like we all spend almost every single day of our lives trying to make money. You're going to a job, you're working, you're starting a business, you're trying to make money. But none of us were taught anything about it, ever. You have to train yourself. And so I like to call myself a money mindset coach, because there is a mindset that you have to have about money and overcoming these blocks of how valuable you feel you are to the world and how much money you feel someone else would pay you for your services. Remember the first client I ever had, he was shocked when he sold his first offer for like $2,200. He thought nobody would pay that. And once it happened, he was like, oh, like there's a lot of people who are willing to do this and can afford these things. Oh, I'm raising my value. I'm raising my worth. And that's really big for a lot of people, because, you just don't know if someone doesn't challenge you to do something like that.
So what are your goals?
I really want to educate the masses, or anybody, on finance, because that's kind of like what got me started down this path that I'm on right now. I was 35, I was lost, the pandemic just hit, and I had an abundance of time. Little cannabis, watch movies, play video games, watch sports, all the things that life throws at you to distract you from what you need to be doing in your life. And I realized that I was a loser and I was wasting my time. I was focused on things that would not push me and my family's life forward. And I was failing them because I just didn't have my stuff together. I wasn't leading in the right way. And then once the pandemic hit and I kind of had a moment where, or actually my wife, she asked me to look into buying a house because we were looking, that's what we wanted to do. And as I was started researching that, I fell in love with personal finance. I kind of like fell down a hole where it was just like the most fascinating thing I had ever read before. Like people were starting businesses and people were saving money and people were getting debt free and people were focusing on the right things and getting outcomes and like changing their lives. And I was like, why wasn't I taught these things? Like, why is this? I'm just discovering this world. And when I'm 35, it doesn't make any sense. And so as I started to look around and realize what was going on, I realized it's part of, America's business model, really. It's the rat race is the rat race. And the people at the top, they understand that it's a game and they play the game very effectively. And the rest of us who are kept in the dark, we don't understand these things, we get taken advantage of. And so my goal in life is to get rich and help as many people as I can do the same things because we all deserve it. Everyone, there should be no poverty and no starvation in the world. Like we have enough resources to share with everybody. If only we all learned how to work together in harmony, like the world would be like crazy. It would be like a utopia. But, some people, they don't want that. They just want everything for themselves. And I don't think that's right. So I feel like since I'm learning all these things and I'm really interested in them, I feel like it's my duty to kind of like share it and inform as many people as I can.
That's a great vision you have there. Definitely resonates. And not that you give off these vibes, but for anyone who might feel like they wish that they didn't have that period where they were maybe not being efficient, relaxing a little bit too long or something like that. Like you use the word loser. I think that's a little harsh, but I think sometimes that's necessary. Of course, it'd be great if we're just 100% efficient, but I think that's kind of like that disappointment in yourself, or maybe that's not even the right word, but like the knowledge, you could do better and you just haven't quite reached the threshold of discomfort to the point where it's like, and then it's like a rocket igniting and it's like, go now, like life is the video game and it's way better. But you wouldn't know that if you didn't have some kind of, I think, realization. I don't know, maybe there's exceptions, but some of the highest performers that I've seen have that valley in the development thing that they would otherwise maybe like to remove if they could do it all over again. But yet that's what gave them the superpower of thinking so broadly as you about like harmony and helping others. And so, what do you think about the journey not being linear?
Yeah, like you said, it's necessary. It's fascinating to me that we all go through roughly the same things. Like they want to divide us, like we're a different people, but actually within us, like we all have the same type of challenges, struggles, and things. They may look different, but mostly, we go through the same types of challenges and struggles. And so I've always say I would never, like if I had a time machine, I wouldn't go back and change anything, not a damn thing. Like I hated high school. I was a nerd back then. I didn't really have any friends, no girlfriend, no nothing like that. I was like, it was probably one of the worst times of my life. But I wouldn't go back and change a dang thing because it would change. Like I wouldn't have my daughter here. I wouldn't have my wife. I wouldn't be the person I am today. I wouldn't have discovered all the things that I have now. I wouldn't be working towards accomplishing my goals and dreams right now the way I am. So yeah, it's like whenever you look back, I read this in a book recently. It's very powerful. The stories you tell yourself about your life, you made them up. Those events happened, but what you tell yourself about those events is key to how you view them. And so if I look back and I say, oh, high school is terrible, high school is this, oh, I wish, this and that, like I can live with that forever. Or I can say, you know what, high school was a challenge, but it taught me that I don't want to live like this. I want to, go chase after the things that I really want to do. I don't want to be shy. It taught me how to, that I didn't want to just sit by myself at lunch. I wanted to interact with people. I didn't want to be the shy person. I wanted to come out of my shell. I got cut from the basketball team and I never tried out again. oh, I could regret that, but I'm saying, you know what? I needed that, you know, I needed to give up in that moment and then look back and say, you know what? I'm never giving up again. So I look back on it in a positive light because I've just changed the story I told myself about those events. And if you just continue to do that, you go through these struggles to create the person that you're meant to be in the future. Like I said, without challenges, there is no champion. So each and every single one of us you have to be challenged on your way to accomplishing whatever you want in your life. And the bigger the goal that you're trying to accomplish, usually the bigger the challenge that you got to go through.
I found that I was hoping for perfect like situations, like a perfect environment, and I'd be like disappointed if the performance, like if something got in the way of a perfect scenario, because then my performance would not be like the best that it could be. And I ruminated, oh, if only this, if only that, then I could have done a better job. And you probably like know where I'm going with this, but that's not the mindset of a champion. Like the mindset of a champion, champion of one, champion of whatever. It doesn't matter if it's raining. It doesn't matter if you're hungry. It doesn't matter if you're sore. You just do it. You keep doing it, and you actually welcome the variety of stimuli that you'll be faced with, because it's all new information. It's all opportunity to iterate. It's all opportunity to test your journey. Maybe it's time to pivot. Maybe it's time to power through. Maybe it's time to network with this particular industry or person, etc. So it's all addressable. There's no limitations. There's just options. And it's like you mentioned, a growth mindset as opposed to a scarcity mindset. And it's so easy to get kind of trapped in that timid, vulnerable state of hoping that the environment favors you.
I completely resonate with that. I feel like you have to just understand that things are going to go wrong. It's just par for the course. That's just what happens. And I even tell my wife, so an analogy is just like driving to work every day for people who have 9-to-5s. Some days there's going to be some construction. Some days it's going to be raining. Some days there's going to be traffic. Depending on the mindset that you come into that drive with, it's going to shape the rest of your day. Like if you're saying, oh shit, there's traffic, and then you put the bird out the window, you're cussing at people, you're honking the horn, quickly move, blah, blah, blah. No, relax. Clearly, maybe that was put there for you to learn how to have some patience. Put on an audiobook, do something else, think positively. This is a moment in time that you can still be enjoying your day and still be enjoying your life, but instead you're focused on something you can't control, and then you get upset and mad at it. And
there might be the cure for cancer on the license plates, like spelled out, like you missed it going 90 miles an hour.
There you go. Exactly. So anything that you could be noticing that would help you on your journey, like some type of synchronicity or sign from God, who knows? And you're too busy, upset and mad because something's not going right for you, and yada, yada, yada. So it's all about, your mindset and how you're bringing to even your business and what you want to accomplish. And
why is that, do you think, that we get so quickly, like we take things for granted so quickly? If it takes us 15 minutes to get to work in a perfect scenario, why do we lock that in as what we always want, and anything less than that is going to aggravate us?
That's a great question. And in my experience, I don't think people are self-aware enough to kind of like pause for moments. You think and maybe even society today, we live in such a instant gratification world where it's like, okay, if I want to make a pizza right now, I'll just go in there, pop it in the microwave for a minute, boom, I got a whole pizza. If I want to get some entertainment, I just hop on the internet, boom, it's on my phone in a couple of seconds. Like I don't have to wait for anything. Everything is instant. So now you put it in a situation where you're used to doing something a certain way. You got to get to work at a certain time, and then something goes wrong. It's not really, you got to pause a little bit. You got to wait to get to work instead of getting there in the normal amount of time. And then suddenly we're thrown out of what's normal for us, and then we freak out. And people, like you said, people don't really like exiting their comfort zone. And that's another thing. It's like, if they've got to get to work at a certain time and they're walking in a little bit late, maybe it's going to be a little uncomfortable. Maybe they've got to go around something and go a different route, and that's a little bit uncomfortable. It throws people off, and then suddenly, People don't know how to control their emotions, and so they just let them fly free.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. Well said. So going back to the emotions of sales, uh, why do you think sales as a concept, sales itself, is important? Like, make a case for sales for those in the audience that are suspicious.
Okay. Well, sales is the most lucrative money-making industry in the world. What do you think those billion-dollar corporations, million-dollar corporations, what do you think they do for a living? What industry are they in? Every single one of them sells a product, okay? They are the production class. We normally are the consumption class. We buy the things that they make. So it makes sense that if you're going to be starting a business and you're going to be getting into sales, you have to have sales and be able to make money in order to run a business, correct? So this is why I said before, I'll say it again. If you're in business, you're in sales, because if you don't have sales, you don't have a business. So if you hope to be a successful entrepreneur, the selling process is pivotal. You have to understand it, because every single business in the world does understand it if they're successful. And what you need to understand is that sales is something that's never going to go away. No matter who you're talking to and whether you're exchanging money, you're always selling someone on something. If you have a job, you sold your job on your skills already. If you have a family and you want your children to follow the rules of the household, you're going to have to sell them on that idea of why it's important. They're not going to just blindly follow if it doesn't make sense.
Same with employees, having employees work for you. We have access to so much information, friends. So let's say I work for you, this month we're locked in, like, you think you've got a decent value on my labor versus the resources you're giving me, and vice versa. But I'm also watching YouTube. I'm also talking to people in networking events, and they're like, "Oh, this person in this industry pays more than Michael," or they give you more responsibility, and you're talking, same thing on your side, and you're like, employees over here are doing this or that, and so you constantly have to have, I think, that relationship of like sales essentially, and not convincing sounds somewhat manipulative, but aligning, communicating,
Persuading.
persuading, sure, persuading the value that you offer.
It's so weird to me when I kind of look at sales jobs and how I know I was pushed away from doing like a commission job where I did Empire Carpets back in the day, but then afterward it was like, okay, don't go into a used car. You need something with security. You need something with a yearly salary, so you can have that comfort. The most highly paid people, like I said before, are usually in sales. Number one, if you're selling cars, let's say, your income is uncapped, right? If you're just really, really good and you trust and believe in your own skills and you can get those results, then why not go into an industry where you can earn as much money as you ever could desire? They sell everyone on the security aspect of it. And sure, there is something to having security in a job, but like I said, you're capped. You can't do more work and then get more money. But if you just believe in the skills that you have and you're going to be able to make these things work, and you can develop and become one of the best salespeople that has ever lived, or even in the company that you're in, then go for that. Like, especially if you're young and you don't have a family, like go for it. Risk it. Like, learn sales early in life, and I mean, you'll be able to accomplish whatever you want.
So if people would like to like see what you're doing, or perhaps like work with you, where would you direct them?
Well, first I have a website. It's michaeldevine.life. So michaeldevine.life. Otherwise, you can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Michael DeVine.
Well, thanks, Michael. It was really fun talking with you, and you did share a lot of really good insights, I think. And I look forward to keeping in touch and seeing where you and your clients get to.
Definitely appreciate you, David. It's a beautiful, beautiful podcast. I like what you're doing here.
Thanks.